What is a recession? A recession is a time when the economy of a country is not doing very well. It's like when a roller coaster goes downhill and slows down. During a recession, things become difficult for many people and businesses. Imagine you're playing a game with your friends, and everyone has some toys they can share and trade. But suddenly, something happens that makes it harder for everyone to get new toys or keep the ones they have. Maybe the game gets too difficult, or there's a shortage of toys. As a result, it becomes challenging to trade or find new toys. In a recession, similar things happen in the real world. People might lose their jobs, and it becomes harder for them to find new ones. When that happens, they might not have enough money to buy the things they need or want. As a result, businesses that make and sell those things have a hard time too because fewer people are buying from them. Just like in the game, when it becomes harder to trade or find new toys, the economy slows down during a recession. It can feel like a bumpy ride, and people might have to cut back on their spending and be more careful with their money. The good news is that recessions don't last forever. Eventually, the economy starts to get better, just like the roller coaster going uphill again. People find jobs, and they can start spending more money. It might take some time, but things do improve. How long does a recession last? The duration of a recession can vary. Some recessions are shorter and last for a few months, while others can be more prolonged and last for several years. There isn't a fixed timeline for how long a recession will last because it depends on many factors, such as the causes of the recession, the actions taken by governments and central banks, and the overall health of the economy. Generally, recessions tend to be shorter in duration compared to periods of economic growth. However, the severity of a recession can have an impact on its length. For instance, a more severe recession may take longer to recover from as it may take time for businesses to regain stability and for people to find new jobs. It's important to note that economists and experts closely monitor economic indicators and trends to analyze the health of the economy and determine if it's in a recession. They also study historical data to better understand how long recessions have typically lasted in the past. However, predicting the exact duration of a recession is challenging because economic conditions and circumstances can change over time. What is the difference between a recession and a depression? A recession and a depression are both periods of economic decline, but they differ in terms of their severity and duration. Here's a simplified explanation of the difference. Recession. A recession is a significant decline in economic activity that lasts for a relatively shorter period, typically a few months to a couple of years. During a recession, there is a slowdown in various economic indicators such as GDP, gross domestic product, employment, and consumer spending. It is characterized by a decline in business activity, higher unemployment rates, and a decrease in the production and consumption of goods and services. While recessions can be challenging, they are generally considered a normal part of the economic cycle, and the economy eventually starts to recover. Depression. A depression, on the other hand, is an extremely severe and prolonged economic downturn. It is characterized by a deep and long-lasting decline in economic activity, lasting multiple years. Depressions are marked by severe economic contraction, high unemployment rates, widespread business failures, and significant reductions in production and investment. Unlike recessions, which are considered cyclical and relatively common, depressions are rare and have a more severe impact on the economy and people's lives. One well-known example of a depression is the Great Depression, which occurred in the 1930s and lasted for about a decade. It was a time of extreme economic hardship and widespread unemployment, with severe consequences for individuals and businesses. Can a recession lead to inflation or deflation? Yes, a recession can potentially lead to both inflation and deflation, although the specific outcome can vary depending on the circumstances. Let's look at each scenario. Inflation during a recession. Typically, during a recession, economic activity slows down, and people have less money to spend. This decrease in consumer demand can lead to a decrease in the prices of goods and services, which is known as deflation. However, sometimes governments and central banks take measures to stimulate the economy during a recession. They may do this by lowering interest rates, increasing government spending, or implementing other policies to encourage borrowing and spending. These actions can inject more money into the economy, potentially leading to an increase in overall demand. If the increase in demand is more significant than the decrease caused by the recession, it can result in inflation, which means the prices of goods and services increase over time. Deflation during a recession. As mentioned earlier, during a recession, there is often a decrease in consumer demand. This reduction in demand can lead to lower prices for goods and services, known as deflation. When people have less money to spend and are hesitant to make purchases, businesses may lower prices to attract customers. Additionally, during recessions, businesses may struggle to sell their products or services, leading to inventory buildup. To clear the excess inventory, businesses might further reduce prices. This downward pressure on prices can result in deflation. It's important to note that the relationship between recessions and deflation can be complex and can vary depending on the specific economic conditions, government policies, and other factors at play. Economists and policymakers closely monitor these trends and try to implement appropriate measures to stabilize the economy and mitigate the potential negative effects of recessions. What are some common strategies for recovering from a recession? There are several common strategies that can be employed to aid in the recovery from a recession. Here are some of the key strategies. Monetary policy. Central banks can use monetary policy tools to stimulate economic activity. This includes reducing interest rates to make borrowing cheaper, which encourages businesses and individuals to spend and invest. Central banks can also implement quantitative easing, which involves purchasing financial assets to increase the money supply and inject liquidity into the economy. Fiscal policy. Governments can implement fiscal policies to stimulate economic growth. This involves increasing government spending on infrastructure projects, education, healthcare, and other areas to create jobs and boost demand. Governments can also implement tax cuts to provide individuals and businesses with more disposable income, encouraging spending and investment. Employment and job creation. Initiatives aimed at promoting job creation can help reduce unemployment rates and increase consumer spending. This can include targeted job training programs, support for entrepreneurship, and incentives for businesses to hire new employees. Stimulating consumer and business confidence. Restoring confidence in the economy is crucial for recovery. Governments and organizations can implement measures to instill confidence, such as providing clear economic policies, fostering stability in the financial sector, and promoting transparency and accountability. Support for small businesses. Small businesses are often hit hard during a recession. Providing financial assistance, access to credit, and offering tax incentives or relief can help small businesses survive and contribute to economic recovery. International trade and export promotion. Expanding international trade and exports can help boost economic growth. Governments can negotiate trade agreements, provide support for businesses entering foreign markets, and promote competitiveness in key industries. Infrastructure investment. Investing in infrastructure projects such as transportation, energy, and communication systems not only creates jobs but also enhances the long-term productivity and efficiency of the economy. Regulatory and policy reforms. Evaluating and modifying regulations and policies that may hinder economic growth can be beneficial. Streamlining bureaucratic processes, reducing unnecessary red tape, and ensuring a favorable business environment can attract investments and foster economic recovery. It's important to note that the effectiveness of these strategies can vary depending on the specific circumstances and context of each recession. Governments, policymakers, and economists analyze the economic conditions and determine which combination of strategies would be most suitable for facilitating recovery. Hit like and subscribe button. Thank you.